The vastness of space held many surprises, but none quite like the events that unfolded on that fateful Tuesday morning. Earth's long-range sensors picked up an unusual signal approaching the solar system. At first, the scientists at NASA thought it was just another space anomaly. They were wrong. Commander Sarah Chen stood before the massive display screen at NASA's headquarters, her eyes fixed on the incoming vessel's trajectory. "This is definitely not one of ours," she muttered, reaching for her secure phone to alert the UN Security Council. The alien ship emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter's orbit, its sleek design unlike anything humans had ever created. It was massive, nearly 3 kilometers in length, with a metallic purple hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The vessel moved with a grace that defied its size. Within hours, every major military installation on Earth was on high alert. The UN assembled for an emergency session, and the world's leaders gathered virtually to discuss this unprecedented situation. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades, but now that it was here, tension filled every command center across the globe. The alien vessel transmitted its first message in perfect English. "Greetings, primitive species. We represent the Galactic Empire, rulers of 10,000 star systems. Your world has been chosen for integration into our magnificent empire. Resistance is unnecessary, as your technological level is far beneath ours." President Martinez of the United States exchanged worried glances with her military advisors. The Joint Chiefs of Staff had already activated Protocol Omega, Earth's classified defense network that had been secretly built over the past 30 years. Deep in the Nevada desert, Dr. James Wong accessed his quantum computer terminal. The readings from the alien ship were troubling. "Their shield technology is advanced," he reported to the Emergency Council, "but their weapon systems are interesting. They show no signs of recent use or maintenance." The Galactic Empire's ambassador, a tall humanoid with silvery skin named Zorax, appeared on every screen worldwide. His expression was one of bored superiority. "You have 24 Earth hours to surrender your governing authority. The Empire will provide you with suitable leadership and direction." What Zorax didn't know was that Earth's quantum sensors were already analyzing every inch of their ship. Hidden bases on Mars and Europa had activated their stealth protocols, and humanity's own advanced fleet, kept secret from the public, was moving into defensive positions. General Adebayo of the African Union Space Command viewed the tactical display with growing interest. "Look at their ship design," she pointed out to her colleagues. "All show, no practical combat experience. They've never faced real resistance." The UN Security Council reached a unanimous decision faster than at any point in its history. Earth would not bow to threats. As humans had learned through countless wars and conflicts, experience in battle was worth more than advanced technology alone. Russian Space Command detected multiple new signals. The Empire's main fleet was approaching. Over 50 massive ships, each larger than the first. They thought this show of force would intimidate Earth into submission. They were about to learn a harsh lesson. "Send our response," ordered the UN Secretary-General, her voice firm and resolute. The message was simple but carried the weight of humanity's entire military history. "To the Galactic Empire, you've made a serious mistake. We've spent our entire history fighting wars among ourselves. We've perfected the art of combat while you've merely played at it. This is your only warning. Run." The Empire's ambassador laughed when he received the message. Like many before him, he mistook human confidence for primitive bravado. He didn't understand that Earth's apparent technological gap was a carefully crafted illusion. As the first day of contact drew to a close, both sides prepared for what would come next. The Empire's fleet arranged itself in a textbook formation above Earth's orbit, while humanity's hidden defenses remained invisible to their scans. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. Little did the Empire know, they weren't facing a primitive civilization. They were facing humanity, veterans of countless wars, masters of adaptation, and experts in the art of combat. They had just made the biggest mistake in their empire's history. They had threatened Earth. The next 24 hours would change everything. Humanity was ready. The Empire was not. The next morning, Earth's military leaders gathered in the underground command center beneath Geneva. Holographic displays showed the Empire's fleet positioned in what they thought was a threatening formation. General Zhang of the Chinese Space Force couldn't help but smile. Their arrangement had at least 3 major vulnerabilities. Dr. Wang's analysis team had worked through the night. "Their ships are impressive," he explained, pointing to the detailed scans, "but they've never been seriously damaged. Look at their armor. It's decorative. No battle scars, no repairs, nothing. They've only fought against worlds that couldn't fight back." Admiral Rodriguez scrolled through centuries of imperial history that Earth's AI had extracted from their communications. "They've existed for over 10,000 years, she noted, but there's not a single record of a real war. They just show up, threaten planets, and collect their surrenders." In orbit, Earth's stealth satellites continued gathering data. The Empire's crews were relaxed, some even sleeping at their posts. They had no combat rotations, no serious alert status, no real battle procedures. They were bureaucrats in military uniforms, playing at being warriors. Meanwhile, humanity's true capabilities remained hidden. Quantum-cloaked defense platforms surrounded Earth. The Mars shipyards had activated their production lines. Europa's missile bases were fully armed. 2 centuries of preparing for alien contact had not been wasted. "Send the second warning," ordered the UN Secretary-General. This time, they included proof of humanity's combat experience, carefully selected historical footage of Earth's major conflicts, from ancient battles to modern warfare. Let them see what real war looks like. Ambassador Zorax watched the footage with growing unease. He saw humans fighting in every environment: deserts, oceans, mountains, even space. He saw their determination, their ability to adapt, their willingness to sacrifice everything for victory. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. But the Empire's pride wouldn't let them back down. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm our advanced technology," Zorax transmitted back, though his voice lacked its previous confidence. "Submit now, and we will be merciful." In response, Earth activated the small demonstration. A seemingly harmless satellite near one of the Empire's smaller ships suddenly transformed. Its quantum shields dropped, revealing a weapon that shouldn't have been possible according to the Empire's understanding of physics. The resulting energy pulse didn't damage the Imperial ship, but it did something worse. It completely shut down its advanced shields for 30 seconds. The message was clear. Earth could have destroyed the ship but chose not to. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Their sensors couldn't explain what had happened. Their scientists couldn't understand the technology. Worst of all, they began detecting similar satellites all around their fleet, all still cloaked. "This is your final warning," Earth transmitted. "We've spent millennia perfecting the art of war while you've grown soft. We've fought ourselves, united ourselves, and prepared ourselves. You have 1 hour to leave our solar system." Aboard the Imperial flagship, Zorax argued desperately with his superiors. "There's something different about these humans," he insisted. "Their confidence isn't primitive arrogance. It's the certainty of experienced warriors." But the Empire's high command, light years away, refused to believe that any primitive world could challenge their authority. They ordered the fleet to begin invasion preparations, ignoring the growing fear among their crews. On Earth, final preparations were made. Civilian populations had already been moved to secure locations. Military assets were in position. Humanity's best strategists and AI systems had planned for this moment for generations. General Adebayo watched the Imperial fleet's frantic activity with professional disapproval. "They're like children playing with their parents' weapons," she observed. "They have no idea what real combat is about to teach them." As the hour deadline approached, both sides prepared for what would come next. The Empire, still believing in their technological superiority, readied their weapons. Earth's forces, veterans of countless wars, simply waited, calm, prepared, and absolutely certain of what needed to be done. The Empire was about to learn why humans had warned them to run. The Empire's fleet made their first move exactly as Earth's military strategists had predicted. Their massive ships descended into lower orbit in a perfect V formation, like a flock of giant metal birds. Admiral Chen watched from the hidden lunar base, shaking her head at their textbook approach. "They're following their own military manual exactly," Lieutenant Park reported, holding up an encrypted tablet. Earth's AI had already decoded and analyzed the Empire's entire tactical database. No variations, no tactical adaptations, just like they've done on 1,000 other worlds. The Empire's first attack was meant to be overwhelming. Thousands of energy beams lit up Earth's sky, targeting what they thought were major military installations. Instead, they hit empty buildings and holographic projections. The real facilities were deep underground or hidden in plain sight. Commander Rodriguez smiled as she gave the order. "Initialize Operation Ghost." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses came to life. The quantum shields that had kept Earth's true military capabilities invisible for decades silently dropped. The Empire's sensors suddenly lit up with thousands of new contacts. Hidden bases on Mars, weapon platforms around Jupiter's moons, and orbital defense systems that had been there all along but impossible to detect. The Imperial fleet froze in confusion. "Primitive species don't have quantum technology," one Imperial officer stammered, watching as his tactical display became overwhelmed with new targets. "This is impossible." Earth's response was precisely calculated. Instead of a full attack, they targeted just one Imperial ship, the one that had shown the most aggressive behavior. Small, agile Earth fighters emerged from hidden hangars, their stealth systems making them nearly invisible even after launching. The Imperial ship's crew barely had time to react. Their shields, designed to stop direct energy weapons, were useless against Earth's phase-shifted missiles. The weapons passed through their defenses like they weren't even there. The Imperial ship's decorative armor crumpled under its first real combat damage. "Target disabled, not destroyed," reported Captain Sarah Chen, leading the fighter squadron. Message delivered. The Imperial vessel hung in orbit, its main systems offline, its crew in shock. They had never experienced actual combat damage before. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Their neat formation broke apart as ships began moving randomly, trying to avoid targets they couldn't properly track. Some captains wanted to retreat immediately. Others demanded an all-out attack. Their carefully written protocols had nothing to say about this situation. Ambassador Zorax watched in horror as Earth's true military power was revealed. Hidden shipyards around Mars released waves of advanced warships. Europa's surface cracked open to reveal missile silos. Even the asteroid belt showed signs of military installations. "This is impossible," Zorax transmitted frantically to his superiors. "They're not primitives. They've been preparing for war for centuries. We need to retreat." But his warnings were ignored by the Empire's distant leadership, who still couldn't believe their forces were in real danger. Earth's forces continued their calculated demonstration. Each attack was precise, disabling rather than destroying Imperial ships. Each strike demonstrated a different advanced technology that the Empire had thought impossible for primitives to possess. In the Geneva Command Center, General Adebayo watched the Imperial fleet's disorganized reactions. "They've never had to adapt to changing battle conditions," she observed. "They don't know how to fight when their plans fail." The disabled Imperial ship's crew was safely evacuated by their companions, but they left behind something valuable. Fear. Real, genuine fear of what humans were capable of. As they retreated to rejoin their fleet, they spread stories of weapons that ignored shields, fighters that couldn't be tracked, and a military that had clearly been preparing for this moment for generations. The first phase of Earth's defense was complete. They had shown the Empire that their technological superiority was an illusion, that their combat experience was non-existent, and that they had made a terrible mistake in threatening humanity. But this was just the beginning. The real battle was about to start. The Empire's command structure started crumbling just hours after their first real combat experience. Their ships, arranged in tight formations for thousands of years, now scattered across Earth's orbit like startled birds. Reports of Earth's impossible technology spread through their ranks, causing fear and confusion. Dr. Wong's cyber warfare team struck next. They had spent the night analyzing the Empire's communication systems, finding weaknesses that came from centuries of peace. Their encryption is beautiful, Dr. Wong noted, but it's designed for show, not security. Within minutes, human hackers breached 3 Imperial ships' main computers. The Empire's crews watched helplessly as their own weapons powered down, their engines shut off, and their emergency systems activated. Messages appeared on their screens in perfect Imperial script. "We warned you to run." Look at their reaction times, General Zhang observed from the Lunar Command Center. Their crews are taking 5 minutes to respond to basic threats. They've never had to make combat decisions before. Earth's guerrilla tactics proved devastating. Small stealth ships appeared from nowhere, disabled Imperial systems, and vanished before anyone could respond. The Empire's massive vessels, designed to intimidate through size alone, were too slow to catch them. Ambassador Zorax was now in full panic mode. "Request immediate reinforcements," he transmitted to the Empire's capital. "The humans. They're everywhere and nowhere. They're not fighting fair." The concept of fair combat was alien to human military leaders, who merely saw efficient tactics. Earth's forces continued their psychological warfare. They'd broadcast the sounds of Imperial crews panicking across all frequencies. They showed videos of their disabled ships drifting helplessly. More importantly, they demonstrated new technologies with each attack, proving that humans had been hiding their true capabilities all along. Captain Sarah Chen led another precision strike, this time targeting the Empire's supply lines. "Look at their supply ships," she reported back. "No escorts, no defensive systems. They've never had to protect their logistics before." The Empire's attempts to counterattack proved useless. Their weapons, designed for overwhelming force against defenseless worlds, couldn't track Earth's quantum-shifted vessels. Their shields, never tested in real combat, failed against weapons they didn't understand. In the Geneva Command Center, Admiral Rodriguez watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "They're making every mistake we made centuries ago," she said. "But we learned from our mistakes." They never had to. The Empire's fleet commanders began arguing among themselves. Some wanted to retreat immediately. Others insisted on following their ancient battle protocols, even though those protocols were failing completely. Their command structure, designed for parades and ceremonies, collapsed under real combat stress. Dr. Wang's team achieved another breakthrough. They gained access to the Empire's historical records and broadcast them to every ship in the fleet. "Look at your own history," the message said. "You've never fought anyone who could fight back. Until now." The Imperial crews were forced to watch their own history with new eyes. Every glorious victory in their records showed them subjugating peaceful worlds, never facing real resistance. Their military reputation was built on bullying the defenseless. A small group of Earth's stealth ships demonstrated the final humiliation. They approached the Empire's flagship, completely ignored its defensive fire, and painted a large white surrender flag on its hull using specialized nanobots. The Empire's most powerful ship now bore the universal symbol of defeat. "Your choice is simple," Earth transmitted to the entire fleet. "Retreat now or learn what real war means. You have 1 hour to decide." In the Lunar Command Center, General Zhang watched the Imperial ship's erratic movements. "They're breaking," he said. "Their whole society is built on the myth of their superiority. We just destroyed that myth." The Empire's fleet, once proud and organized, now drifted in chaos. Their crews, trained for ceremony rather than combat, struggled with the reality of facing a prepared and experienced opponent. The mighty Galactic Empire had finally met its match, and the truth was devastating. As the hour deadline approached, humanity prepared for either outcome. They would prefer peace, but unlike the Empire, they were fully prepared for war. As the Empire's fleet hung in disarray above Earth, humanity launched its most daring operation yet. Operation Starburst began with a simple transmission: coordinates of major Imperial worlds, sent openly on all frequencies. The message was clear. Earth knew exactly where to strike. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, hidden shipyards activated. Hundreds of advanced human warships, kept secret for decades, emerged from their quantum cloaking fields. Captain Chen watched from her command ship as the fleet assembled. "All ships report ready," she announced. "Jump coordinates locked on Imperial core worlds." The Empire's leadership couldn't believe their sensors. Humanity had ships capable of intergalactic travel. Impossible. But their worst fears were confirmed when human vessels suddenly appeared in 50 different star systems simultaneously, their quantum drives making traditional defense systems useless. "Begin Phase 2, ordered Admiral Rodriguez from Earth." Dr. Wang's cyber warfare team had already infiltrated the Empire's communication networks. They started broadcasting evidence of Imperial corruption, showing how the leadership had grown rich by threatening peaceful worlds. On thousands of subjugated planets, the carefully maintained image of Imperial strength began to crack. Local resistance movements, hearing of Earth's successful defense, started emerging from hiding. The Empire's forces, spread thin across the galaxy, couldn't respond to every uprising at once. "Their entire system is based on fear," General Zhang observed, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. "Once that fear is gone, they have nothing left." Imperial garrisons, faced with real resistance for the first time, began surrendering rather than fight. Ambassador Zorax, now practically a prisoner on his own flagship, watched in horror as his empire began to crumble. "How?" he kept asking. "How did they hide all this? How did they plan so far ahead?" The answer was simple. Centuries of human warfare had taught the value of preparation and deception. Earth's forces struck key Imperial supply lines with surgical precision. They didn't need to destroy the Empire's massive fleet. They simply had to stop it from being supplied. Fuel stations, ammunition depots, and food distribution centers were disabled one by one. Dr. Wang's team discovered something interesting in the Imperial networks. "Their leadership is lying to everyone," he reported. "Different worlds are getting different stories about what's happening. They're losing control of their own narrative." Humanity's next move was politically devastating. They broadcast proof that the Empire's supposed technological superiority was mostly stolen from conquered worlds. Many of their advanced systems had been developed by species they had subjugated, then claimed as their own. "Release the diplomatic package," ordered the UN Secretary-General. Earth's ships began broadcasting offers of alliance to every world in the Empire. The terms were simple: join Earth's new federation and gain protection against Imperial repression. The response was overwhelming. Worlds that had suffered under Imperial rule for centuries saw their chance for freedom. The Empire's leadership watched helplessly as their authority evaporated. They had no experience handling real rebellion. Their usual tactics of intimidation no longer worked. Captain Sarah Chen led a bold raid on an Imperial shipyard, capturing vital technical data. "Their ships are designed to look impressive," she reported back. "But they sacrificed combat effectiveness for appearance. Form over function. The sign of a military that's never faced real war." In the Geneva Command Center, Earth's leaders watched as the Empire's structure began to collapse. Sectors declared independence. Imperial governors switched sides. Military units refused orders. Centuries of oppression were unraveling in days. Their biggest mistake, General Adebayo noted, was thinking that being advanced meant being powerful. They never understood that real power comes from experience, not technology. The Empire's response to this crisis proved their fundamental weakness. They had no backup plans, no contingency strategies. Their military doctrine, unchanged for millennia, had no answers for an enemy who could actually fight back. As reports of Imperial collapse flooded in from across the galaxy, humanity prepared for the final phase of their operation. The Empire's core worlds were now vulnerable, their fleets in disarray, their authority shattered. The turning point had arrived. Victory was no longer in doubt. Only its final form remained to be decided. The Empire's doom was sealed when Earth's forces appeared above their capital world, Imperialis Prime. The massive planet, covered in golden cities and ceremonial military bases, had never seen actual combat in its entire history. Now it faced the most experienced warriors in the galaxy. "Send the ultimatum," General Zhang commanded. The message was broadcast across every Imperial channel. "Your empire is finished. Your fleet is scattered. Your subjects have revolted. Surrender now, or face the consequences of real war." Inside the Imperial Palace, panic spread like wildfire. The High Council, who had never faced actual danger, watched in terror as Earth's advanced ships took up attack positions. Their own home fleet, more decorated than battle-ready, held position uncertainly. Dr. Wang's cyber team struck again, this time targeting the Empire's financial systems. "Their entire economy is based on fear and tribute," he reported. "Once we exposed their weakness, it started collapsing on its own." Within hours, the imperial currency lost all value across the galaxy. Captain Sarah Chen led a precision strike that demonstrated Earth's complete superiority. Her ships disabled the capital's defensive shields without firing a single shot, using technology the Empire didn't even understand. "Their most advanced systems," she reported, "are just copies of technology they stole from others. They never developed anything themselves." The Empire's response was chaos. Some ships tried to fight, only to be disabled by Earth's superior tactics. Others attempted to flee, but found their hyperdrives mysteriously malfunctioning. Many simply surrendered, their crews realizing the futility of resistance. "Look at their command structure," Admiral Rodriguez observed from her flagship. "No backup plans, no emergency protocols." They never imagined anyone could reach their capital, so they never prepared for it. The Empire's military leadership, faced with actual combat decisions, froze in indecision. Ambassador Zorax, now understanding the full extent of humanity's power, begged his superiors to surrender. "They could have destroyed us at any time," he transmitted desperately. "They chose to show mercy. Don't waste this chance." Earth's forces continued their methodical dismantling of imperial power. Key military installations were neutralized. Government communications were cut off. The elaborate facade of imperial might crumble before the reality of human military efficiency. The Imperial High Command made their final mistake. They attempted to use their ultimate weapon, a massive energy cannon that had never been fired in actual combat. The weapon malfunctioned spectacularly, damaging their own defensive systems instead of Earth's fleet. "That's the difference between us," General Adebayo commented, watching the failed attack. "They built weapons to look powerful. We built weapons that actually work." Human forces had already identified and neutralized the weapon's weaknesses days before. The end came swiftly. Junior Imperial officers, seeing the reality of their situation, began surrendering their commands. The elaborate chain of command, designed for ceremony rather than combat, collapsed completely. Even the Imperial Guard laid down their ceremonial weapons. Dr. Wang's team broadcast the final evidence, proof that the Empire's leadership had known their military was hollow, but had hidden this truth for centuries. "They chose appearance over effectiveness," he explained. "They became exactly what they seemed. All show, no substance." In the Geneva Command Center, Earth's leaders watched as the Empire's fall became official. The High Council, emerging from their golden palace with hands raised in surrender, looked nothing like the mighty rulers they had pretended to be. "Secure their surrender," ordered the UN Secretary-General. "But remember, we're not here to destroy. We're here to rebuild." Earth's forces moved with precision and discipline, securing key locations without a single civilian casualty. The Empire's fall was broadcast across the galaxy. Thousands of worlds, watching their former oppressors surrender, celebrated their freedom. Earth's message was clear. The era of empty threats and false power was over. Captain Chen landed the first human boots on Imperialis Prime, planting Earth's flag alongside the new Galactic Federation banner. "Secure the archives," she ordered her team. "We need to learn from their mistakes to build something better." The mighty Galactic Empire, which had ruled through fear for millennia, fell not to superior technology, but to something they had never understood: real military experience and the determination to use it wisely. 1 year after the Empire's surrender, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Great Hall of the former Imperial Palace, once filled with pompous ceremonies, now hosted representatives from thousands of worlds. They gathered to sign the Galactic Federation Charter, with Earth leading the way toward a new future. Admiral Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's primary representative, stood at the podium where imperial decrees had once been issued. "Today, we don't celebrate conquest," she announced to the assembled delegates. "We celebrate unity, freedom, and mutual respect, principles that power alone could never achieve." The transformation was remarkable. Former imperial worlds, freed from centuries of oppression, were flourishing. Earth's military experience had been turned to peacekeeping, with human advisors helping new governments establish their own defense forces. "Look at these statistics," Dr. Wong reported during the first Federation Council meeting. "Trade has increased 300%. Scientific cooperation is at unprecedented levels. Worlds that were once forced to compete are now working together." The Empire's fall had unleashed a wave of progress across the galaxy. Captain Sarah Chen, commanding the Federation's first Joint Species Patrol Fleet, saw the changes firsthand. Her crew included former Imperial officers learning real military discipline alongside veterans from Earth and newly freed worlds. "They're finally learning the difference between looking strong and being strong," she noted in her log. The former Imperial capital had transformed as well. The gaudy golden towers were repurposed as schools, hospitals, and research centers. The massive military parade grounds became parks where children from different species played together. The change from empty show to practical purpose was symbolic of the entire galaxy's transformation. General Zhang, overseeing the new Federation Defense Force training program, watched as former enemies became allies. The Empire's greatest weakness was isolation, he explained to his mixed species class. "They never learned from others. We'll not repeat that mistake." Ambassador Orcs, who had once threatened Earth with destruction, now served as a junior diplomatic aide. "I understand now," he told his human colleagues. "Real strength isn't about threatening others. It's about being prepared to defend what matters while working for peace." The Federation's approach to military power was fundamentally different from the Empire's. Instead of building weapons to intimidate, they focused on defense and stability. Every member world maintained its independence while contributing to mutual security. "The numbers are impressive," General Adebayo reported during the first-year review. "Piracy down 90%. Regional conflicts reduced by 85%. Emergency response times improved by 400%. This is what real military efficiency looks like." The Federation's success attracted more worlds. Even planets that had stayed neutral during the Empire's fall now sought membership. They saw the benefits of genuine cooperation over forced submission. Dr. Wang's team had transformed the Empire's surveillance systems into a galaxy-wide emergency response network. "Instead of looking for dissent," he explained, "we're looking for ways to help. The same technology that once oppressed now saves lives." The former Imperial fleet, once designed for show, was rebuilt for actual service. Ceremonial weapons were replaced with practical ones. Decorative armor gave way to effective shields. The ships became symbols of the Federation's practical approach to power. At the anniversary ceremony, The UN Secretary-General addressed representatives from over 10,000 worlds. A year ago, we proved that experience matters more than appearance. Now we're proving that cooperation is stronger than conquest. Captain Chen's final report of the day summarized the transformation. The Empire tried to rule through fear because they were afraid themselves. The Federation succeeds because we face our fears together and help each other overcome them. The galaxy had learned valuable lessons. Power without experience was meaningless. Technology without wisdom was dangerous. And most importantly, true strength came from unity, not domination. As the celebration concluded, Earth's leaders looked to the future with confidence. They had turned the Empire's fall into everyone's rise. The age of empty threats and false power was over. A new era of genuine cooperation and shared strength had begun. The humans who had once warned the Empire to run now extended hands of friendship to all. Their experience in war had taught them the true value of peace, and their victory had shown them how to use it wisely. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what everyone wanted.